After the show, check out the MRI Man Etsy store. Get yourself some stickers like the Just Scan It sticker or the Oh My God sticker because we know you're scanning like crazy. MRI is freezing, so get yourself an MRI Man hoodie, look fresh, and stay warm at the same time.
The Go MRI Man. Spread the knowledge. Motivate the people.
What's up? It's Kwame, aka MRI Man. Welcome to the MRI Man Podcast. And today I have a special guest, Steven Torres. And today we're going to be talking about customer care and MRI Tech-Daily responsibilities and ethics. So yeah, let me introduce Steven. What's up, Steven? Welcome
Hey,
to the show,
MRI Man.
man.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate this opportunity and super excited to share my knowledge and experience.
So yeah, Steven, tell them a little bit about your background and how you got into MRI and a little history on yourself.
Oh, man, it was a long time ago. No. Okay, so my name is Stephen Allen Torres. I'm an MRI technologist. I am licensed with the ARMRIT organization. I signed up to West Coast Ultrasound Institute when I was 19 years old. I graduated when I was 21. Got my first MRI job at 22, and I have not stopped. I am 34 years old, and during that process, I have been a manager. I have been a lead tech at hospitals. I have been a traveling MRI tech, and most recently, I just opened up a quick care with some my old business, my business partners who were my former managers, and now I'm a traveling MRI tech again because I'm stacking up money to make more new opportunities.
That is awesome, and there's a whole lot of things we can chop down,
So
but,
much.
so many things, and so cool, man. All your history and knowledge you've obtained. I was talking to you, a couple days earlier, and we had great conversation, but today we're gonna focus on, first, customer care, and I've always said patient care, but then I started talking to you and have a whole new vision on it. And talk to us
Beautiful.
about that, the customer care, like what is that exactly?
Okay, so throughout my years of doing MRI and working in many facilities and meeting a lot of other MRI techs, first off, everyone wants raises. Everybody wants to make the biggest bang doing the biggest buck of doing MRI possible, and I want that for everybody. But the problem is, a lot of people get it confused on how do I get a raise? Why does this person get a raise? And during this talk, I'm going to explain, just what I do myself on how I get raises. So
Mhm.
like I said before, the difference between let's go without patient facilities or hospitals. What makes us different between the RadNet, the Insight, the Desert Radiology, all these chain outpatient centers? What makes us different between the other competitors? And that difference is customer service. People keep coming back to that same location because they're like, oh man, Steve was really good to me. Steve was very kind and understanding with my claustrophobia, my fears of me going into that tunnel and everything going on with my cancer, with my pain, with everything. He was very considerate and patient with me in order to get that exam done. And now what a lot of people don't understand is, MRI and these outpatient, this whole organization, it is a business. The way people get paid, the way the circle goes round is, in order for everything to go down is we need to get these scans done for that money to come in. So the way we get money to come in is we got to get these scans to get done. Now, when I say all this, I don't want people to be like, oh man, it's a sweatshop. We got to scan, scan, scan. No, no, no. It's not just about that. It's also with customer care and the quality of care that we give these people in order for them to come back. Because we can always have one person come, but they're like, you know what? This guy was extremely rude to me. I'd rather pay out of pocket and go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying, do the reviews matter? Should a imaging center care about Google reviews? Should they be working to try
Absolutely.
to get more reviews?
Absolutely. And now let's move forward to hospital care because
Uh-huh.
correct with reviews. So when someone goes to the hospital, as soon as they're discharged and they go home, they get a phone call and they do what's called a survey. And that survey is pretty much like a Google review, a Yelp review, and they're like, "Hey, how was your experience?" And if that review or that survey isn't up to par, well, the insurance companies aren't going to be like, "Hey, I'm not going to send my clients or I'm not going to approve these bills to go for my patient to go to this hospital. I'd rather send them to this hospital where they have better reviews." You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. All right. And then, what we talked about the C factor
Oh yeah.
last time, and I thought that was very interesting and something that techs could use. You want to shed some light on that? Tell people
Absolutely,
about that?
absolutely. So, a little back. Let's do a little backstory before we go into the C factors.
Mhm.
There's many types of MRI techs out there, and there are many types of people out there, right? Um, Especially if you never came from like a sales job, customer service job, and you just jumped into MRI right out of high school, or like you never had
Mhm.
a job where you communicated with people. It's really hard. There's a saying that the problem with communication is you think the other person's listening, and when they're not, a more majority of the time. So let's go with the C factors. Let's spell it together. SEE. Now, what does
Mhm.
the first S stand for? People may ask. It stands for smile. When you smile at someone, 90% of the time, that person's going to smile back to you, right? Now, what does that smile build? It builds comfort. It builds comfort because when you're smiling at someone, they feel comfortable smiling at you. You don't want to talk to someone with a nasty face and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
for
They
sure.
don't like that. They
Mhm.
broke their leg. They slip and fell on their back. They just found out they have a tumor in their brain. The last thing they want is someone to give them attitude. Now, the second E stands for eye contact. And what I mean by eye contact is when you're talking to someone, make sure you're looking at them at the eye. And what
Mhm.
that builds is security. I'm sorry, because when you're looking at a patient, a lot of the times, a lot of times the patients are going to come down either in a gown or you have them change into a gown, and
Mhm.
they're not wearing a bra, or they're not in their comfortable settings. So when you're looking at a patient, make sure you're not breaking eye contact or looking at them. If they might
Mhm.
have like a mask that's bleeding out, or a nice nasty mask that maybe makes them feel uncomfortable, don't just stare at it. Keep looking at the patient in the eye to make them feel more comfortable.
Mhm.
Now, the last E stands for enthusiasm. Now, you have to be a little careful when you're too enthusiastic at work, because it might make the patient a little nervous. But what I mean by enthusiasm, be happy at work. Be excited to scan this patient. Be excited and enthusiastic, so the patient be like, "Oh man, Steve is really excited about scanning
Mhm.
me. I feel comfortable enough to be around him. I'm comfortable enough to know that this guy knows what he's doing, and if I'm freaking out, he's going to get me out, and I know everything's going to be okay because he's in control."
Nice. Yeah, I feel like those are amazing tips. I feel like, yeah, the patient has to leave like in a sense that they had a really great experience, and when they go somewhere and someone asks like, "Hey, how did that MRI go?" You want them to be like, "Oh, it was great. The tech was amazing. They made me feel comfortable. They talked to me." Because this could be a life-changing experience for some patients if they had a bad,
Every day, every day,
it could
every
just,
day.
"Oh, the tech didn't hand me the ball. They didn't talk to me." Like, I hear those stories, and that'll go with them through their whole life. I mean, I've had some bad experiences going to the dentist, and I still talk about it till this day, and that was like 10 years ago. So we can I think techs need to realize that we have a
And,
big impact on these patients, and they will carry that with them. Like, "Hey, you left me in that tunnel. You didn't talk to me. I was cold." And I agree.
another portion is too. I have a story was I've been around the game quite a while, and I've met some crazy techs or some good techs
Mhm.
too, and they have good intentions. Like I met this one tech one time. I think I was telling you last time that they were explaining the whole the exam to them, and they're like, "Okay, you're gonna go in there, and you're gonna go into the B sub zero, okay, and then the gradients are gonna go off, and you're gonna hear the RF pulse go beep 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 boom 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 boom," and I'm like,
Scaring them.
"And but don't you move 1 second, okay?" And I'm
Mhm.
standing back, and I'm like, "Dude, like." I'm not getting the exam and I'm nervous. I want to sweep the
Exactly.
ball right now. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And the problem is, that person who was saying that, they had great intentions, but the message was getting across wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah. That too, it gets busy, and you can get caught up in this script where you're just saying the same thing over and over again. But in reality, all the patients are different ages, and just you kind of got to like read the patient, where they're coming from. Some certain patients you can kind of like throw little jokes at them, or you gotta be good at that small talk too, right? Like, "Oh, you have any
Right.
pets?" And then they start talking about their pets, or if you see they have like a surfing shirt, like, "Oh, you go surfing? Where do you surf?" And then like all of a sudden, like the anxiety's gone, and they you know so I've learned little things like that, how to
Correct.
create this connection, because you only have
Or
five
relate to
ten
the
minutes.
patient.
Yeah, yeah, relatable things. And I think that could be difficult for a lot of people that are just new getting into MRI, maybe like a young tech, like 20 years old coming in, didn't have a job before, doesn't know how to talk to somebody, especially someone that's like really sick. And
Right.
which was crazy with you because this was like you got into radiology at a very young age. So
Yeah.
that must have been challenging. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
To be actually, it was super challenging because
Yeah.
I wasn't this was back in 2007. I was doing door-to-door sales, right, right when the economy crashed, and that's
Hmm.
I was doing very well, and I was selling windows and roof materials or whatever, and we were just selling presentations really, for someone to actually get the product. But when the market crashed and there was just no money coming in, I was just like, I needed to do something, and I was 19 years old, and I was just like, you know, I want to make a lot of money, but how do I do that? And then what I
Hmm.
did was, um, I still do today. I use the same. I use my
Hmm.
same method, but different product. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
my product is my customer service, and I'm getting that exam done. You know what I mean? When I get my exams done, I know I still got it. I close that deal.
I feel that too. I feel like also if I can't get an exam done, if I can't get them to go in that scanner, I see it like as a failure. And
You know,
like you lost business in that in a sense too. You're like, wow, I'm not doing the company good. Like, if
don't see it too much as a failure. See it as a training tool. What in
ah,
sales is when someone tells you no, you got to overturn that objection. You got to overturn that no.
hmm,
And where I'm really good at is I'm really good at talking through the patient, not just talking BS, but calming the patient down and be like, hey, we need to get this done. You need to get this done. It's not, this isn't for me. This is for you, for your health. If you can get a patient to do that exam without drugs or without sedation or anything like that, that to me, that's when I know I still got it. You know what I mean? I still got it, and that's what I feel like makes me different from a lot of people. Like, just recently, the other
hmm,
day, I'm working at a facility where they're very keen to MRI safety and SAR limits, this and that. And I had a patient that we were doing an abdomen on a Siemens Esprit, and they like to do everything head first because of the SAR limits of for the head and body and whatnot. And it was just a regular abdomen MRCP, and the guy was really timid to go in there head first. And they were like, okay, so we're going to reschedule you. Thanks for
oh,
stopping by, we appreciate it. Just we'll talk to your doctor, get you some medication. Thanks for stopping by, bye. And I'm like, wait. Hey, sir, how about this? How about we go feet first so your head's sticking out, and that way we can get the exam done. Honestly, with your head kind of sticking out, it's really not that bad. But what MRI techs know is whatever we scan goes in the middle of the magnet. So regardless, his head is going to be on the same side, just front or back. But
hmm,
the mentality thing is he thinks that his feet are going in, not his head's going in. You know what I mean? So
true,
that's just a tip that I use too. And they were like, "Oh, Steve, you got this done. I was going to send him home, but you got the exam done." And I'm like,
nice,
and then these are the tricks I do, this is how I approach for people who want to get a raise, or who people go to their bosses and be like, hey, can I get a bump up because my numbers keep going up? My numbers don't go down. And
hmm,
people are like, oh, well, that was just one exam. Well, one exam out of how many through the week? Out of how many through the months? Out how many through the quarter? Out how many through the year? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. And that's facts because when I asked for a raise, they're like, "Oh, well, why should we give you a raise?" And I was like, "Well, count how many exams I've done." I was like, "I guarantee, out of all three centers, I've completed the most exams." And lo and behold, dude, they called me in. They're like, "Hey, you're right. It was like literally like 4,000 MRIs in last. It was a year before,
Now,
and
now
they
for
couldn't
the other
believe it. Yeah,
for the other viewers,
yeah,
that are watching this
yeah,
podcast, it's not just about the exams, it's
yeah.
about the reviews and customer care. So,
True.
yes, it's good to have a lot of exams done. Yes, it is good to make the
Hmm.
company money, but it's also good for the patients to leave in a positive aspect.
Yeah, and that's when I was gonna get to that. Is yeah, I always patients are always tell me like, hey man, that was great. I'm glad you're my MRI tech, blah blah blah. And I always ask them, yeah, to fill something out in the front because we have like cards where they can give you a review, and
Right.
I just tell them to do that, and that definitely helps because um, we are like a privately owned business, And if the CEOs see that and they start to know your name, they keep seeing your name pop up, and they're like, oh well, we want Kwame to be the front man on the busiest center, and where we get all the patients, because we have other competitors where they can go somewhere else, and we
Correct.
have a lot of patients that keep coming back, and a lot of patients know me by my name. And but yeah, you're building that rep, and then also the quality of work that you put out too with the scans. The radiologist sees that too, the referring doctor. So it's a small pool, and your rep, um you got to protect your rep, man. I mean, being a like you said, just being a good person overall, treating the patients like they're your family, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
as you were saying, protecting your rep, I want to also just touch on a little basis before we move forward.
Uh-huh.
I've ran into people who were like, Steve, you show this person too much. Steve, you're
Mm.
teaching him too much. Steve, like, why
Wow.
you're so cool because you're showing him more than you really should to a brand new person. Aren't you nervous that they're gonna like replace you with him? No, I'm never worried about that because I know personally I'm irreplaceable. I mean, that might sound a little arrogant to say, but where I'm going with this is this. The reason why people hire me when I become a management lead or become a lead or manager or anything like that, it's because they find that they want someone for me to train people to be more like me. I have an example when I was doing a travel assignment in Alexandria, Virginia
Hmm.
at Innova. They were like, Steve, we want you here. We want you to be the manager. Like, we love you. Go get 5 X-ray techs and turn them just like you. And so
Hmm.
I'm not really scared of showing people on how, like, all my secrets is because I know that if I can have more people like me, the company's going to be better. And the CEOs are going to be like, dude, the customer care is good. The quality's good. Everyone's happy in general. You know what I mean? And everyone's
Hmm.
well trained and knowledgeable to be either left alone. And then my
Hmm.
goal isn't just to train one person, but for that person to train someone else. And I'll use an
True.
example as I have this guy that I train. I call him my child. He was an X-ray tech, and he
Hmm.
came over, and he was he's a Russian kid, and he was very stern, and his like no emotions, very like no like very not very funny. What's the word I'm looking for? Just very straightforward type of guy.
Yeah.
And I could
Sense of
tell he was a
humor.
little nervous,
Hmm.
and I was like, no, dude, like I broke all that down. Well, anyway, he called off one of these days and I covered for his shift. And then when I was there, he was already training a new student. And when I was with that student, I never met that student before and I haven't been to that facility for a while. So when I just came to float by. So I was scanning and that guy was talking to me and I'm like, oh, well, like, show me what Ed has showed you, and this is my child, I call him. And he goes, he said something word for word that I said. And I was like, wow, that's really good. Did your school teach you this? And he goes, no, Mr. Ed taught me this, man. Mr. Ed is really smart and knowledgeable. And he explained to me, like, even if I cut something down, even if it saves me 10 seconds, that's 10 seconds I can get the patient off the table. And I was like, that's good. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want him to share what I taught him to show someone else, to pass it down. You know what I mean? That's what's a beautiful experience. That's what I know why they're never going to be like, no, let's fire Steve because he's making too much money. No, Steve is making the right amount of money because he's teaching the whole corporation how to be a good tech and how to be a good person.
That's awesome, man. That's cool, man. That's cool that you're like that. Unfortunately, not everybody's going to be like that, passing that knowledge.
Well, I hope
Uh,
that this podcast changes all this, you
it
know?
does. And that's the reason I made this podcast, is for, people like you that can pass out those keys, help somebody else. And this is truly going to help someone out. But, yeah, like let's move forward to the next topic, man. This was the, MRI Tech Daily Responsibilities and Ethics. You had some steps. You had 8 steps, right?
8 steps, yes, and I'm gonna go over those
Yeah.
all right now. So these 8 steps is what I use every day. Every day I step foot inside the office. Even every day I wake up. Every day I wake up. Every time I wake up from bed, before I
Hmm.
walk out of the building, before I brush my teeth, I still use these 8 steps, and I hope these 8 steps help everybody in the workspace to get what you want, to get where you need to be. Okay, so let's start with these steps. Step 1 is to have a good attitude. That's the most important one. Step 2 is to be on time, because if you're not on time, you're late. And I'm not just talking about the patients being on time, because if we're not on time, we're going to be late with our schedule, especially if we have a fixed schedule, right? We have patients coming
Mhm.
in. I can see how we get upset as ourselves when patients are late, so we can't be late. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Step three, like a Boy Scout, be prepared. Be prepared for every situation that comes across you. Be prepared for every patient that comes into that room with any implant, any problem, any fear. Be prepared to take care of it. Step four, be ready to work a minimum 8-hour day, or 12 or 10-hour shift, whatever. But at least
Mhm.
give yourself a good minimum 8-hour day to work your day, right?
Mhm.
Always go to work being like, hey, I got to work my 8 hours to get my 40. Step five
Mhm.
is to work every territory correctly, or work every step correctly before the patient goes in there. Go over the checklist, go over his implants, go over the information. Are we doing the left foot, the right foot? Make sure we're scanning the right body part. Make sure we're scanning the appropriate thing we need to do. They ordered a foot, but it's actually a hind foot, which is an ankle, right?
Mhm.
Now, step six. Step six is probably the most important one of them all. Maintain that attitude. Because once you lose your attitude at work or your attitude in life, throw the whole day away. Throw the whole day away, because it's so hard to come back from that. So always maintain
True.
your attitude through that whole day, or through your whole work day. Take your frustrations off at once you get home. Leave your luggage at home. Step seven is my personal favorite, is know why you're here and where you're going. I know why I go to work, and I know where I'm going in life. Why I go to work is because I like taking care of people. I like helping people. I like knowing I can get that exam done when other people can't. You know what I mean? Where I'm going, I have my dreams and opportunities, and I know where it's going to lead me.
Mhm.
Step eight, take control. Take control of every situation that comes across you. Take control of the patient. If they're too freaked out, and if they're freaking out on the table and shaking and screaming and all that, take control. Calm down. It's okay. Nothing's gonna happen. The machine ain't gonna blow up. We're all good. If the patient's running late, if they add an add-on and you only have 15 minutes, take control of that situation. Cut down the TR. Manipulate the exam into your favor. You know what I mean? Don't
Mhm.
let this stuff ruin you. Take
Mhm.
control.
Yeah. So the one that sticks out to me the most, out of those, is a couple. I mean, being on time for sure, especially, I'm in a busy outpatient center, and we work as a team. There's like three of us there, one on each machine, and one like kind of getting the patients. And if one of us is even 10 minutes late in the beginning of the day, it affects everything, man. And you're just starting off behind. But the one that I like the most, really, is maintain your attitude, because I think that's how everyone gets tested. I feel like, a
Oh
lot of
God.
times that's my test of the day, is maintaining the attitude. And like, man, and there's three of us in there, so yeah, we're running along the day, everything's going good. We're like, oh, the double study is not going to show. It's already been 30 minutes. Next, boom, they check them in. Supposed to
Yeah.
be on the table now. Oh, okay, fine, whatever. Get them back here. Next thing you know, they're in a wheelchair. You're like, oh man, they're in a wheelchair. And then it's just like from there, and then maybe you'll hear another tech like, oh man, God, just getting mad. And then it feeds off into the other tech. They're like, yeah, why did they do that? And then next thing you know, it's just a tornado of things.
So
And then
perfect,
it's,
perfect,
yeah,
perfect example. Sorry to
yeah.
cut you off.
Oh yeah, go
Perfect,
ahead, go ahead.
perfect example of step six, maintaining the attitude, but most importantly, step eight, take control of those techs, calm
Uh-huh.
them down. To me right now, I'm working with like 8 MRI techs, 4
Uh-huh.
scanners, a lot of
Oh man.
personalities,
Oh yeah,
and
that's crazy.
there's one person's job where they call manning the board, where
Uh-huh.
this person's job is just to delegate who's coming down, when they can come down, which scanner's taking them.
Uh-huh.
And they get flustered. They get flustered because they also have a lot of outpatients come in too. And when the director comes in or whatever, will walk in and be like, how's everyone doing? This person is just like, I don't know what's going on. This is unbelievable. We can't be working like this. Even though
Uh,
I don't work here, I'm the traveler. I step in and I say, stop, relax. The reason why you're in this chair is because they trust you to man this board. Not just because they trust you, is because they know that you can handle this. Yes,
mhm.
everything is hectic right now, but we have 8 or 6 licensed MRI techs on the job. There's no reason for us to panic. we will get through this. We are
Mhm.
fine, you
Mhm.
know? And, it's funny because, I don't just say this in front of the director. I said it to him because if this guy's attitude is cracking down, misery loves company. You know what I mean? How many other people will he'll inception other people into thinking like the ship is going down, but really
Mhm.
it's just some choppy waves. You know what I mean?
True. And that's what I figured, like, I would say 90% of the time, 99, everyone's freaking out. They're adding this and that on, and we're an hour behind. I swear, like, more than half the time, we always end up someone falls off schedule, or we end up just getting back on time because everyone starts hustling, manipulating the scans, and just like, all right, this is what direction we're going in. We're trying to do numbers, we're trying to do this and that. They're not giving us an hour each scan, so it's you got to understand that. But yeah, that's one of the things that I think I'm gonna try more often is to calm that person down, because usually that person will go off, and then maybe someone else will join in and be like, "Yeah, you're right. This is ridiculous," or everyone will just ignore that guy and be like, turn their back to him, be like, "Dude, no one wants to hear that today." But
Right. Right.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we gotta have I be- personally I
yeah,
believe in good leadership.
uh huh,
We gotta, there's only one captain. You know what I mean?
uh huh,
So we gotta make sure we're all doing our job. If you ever see Pirates of the Caribbean in the first one where you see them all, they're all working, doing a part.
mm-hmm,
And it's so funny because working in the hospital, you got your RNs, you got your doctors, you got this and this and this. And people are all like, oh, well, their job's more important. No, 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 no. We all have the same job. We all
mm-hmm,
have the same job. We all have the same purpose. We all have the same goal. And that goal is to take care of the patient. You know what I mean? And we have to make sure that everyone is doing their job and just maintaining that good attitude. You know what I mean?
true. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try those some of these steps, and yeah, like you said,
Write them down, and put them on the wall.
for sure. Yeah, I
And then
might.
when someone, when that person's losing it, just you point
Yeah,
at it. Step
yeah,
6.
and it's crazy because somebody that is the most knowledgeable and experienced person, you would always think that they're automatically the leader, but
Right,
then they start crashing and cracking down when whenever hits the fan, they're "Oh, what do we do?" And they get flustered. I'm like, "Well, just because you got all this experience, you're not the lead. You're not
right,
that guy." And I've noticed that, like, and I'm like, "Wow." And they may be good at these protocols, this and that, but as far as making decisions, like the manager will come in, is like, "Hey, what's going on? Can I get this patient in? Can we do this and that?" And they're just lost, mad. I'm like, "Well, this is not the leader." So then
right.
sometimes I feel like I have to step up and just, you know,
And
be the
honestly,
strong
that's
one.
and then if you don't think your management won't see, be like, hey, this guy
Yeah,
deserves a $5 raise.
yeah,
Hey, this guy deserves a $10 raise. You know what I mean? And
uh-huh,
from someone from experience, it happens. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Because this person's all like this guy, woman, whatever, this person, this tech with all this experience who
mhm,
loses their attitude and all this stuff, who knows all this knows one day they're gonna retire. You know what I mean? And
mhm,
someone's gonna have to replace them. And the thing is, also, I've even met people who one place where they were doing cardiacs, and this one person refused to train anyone else to do cardiacs, so
hmm.
this person can always have job security. I didn't step in to do. I was a travel
What?
assignment, and so like when you do cardiacs are not the same everywhere. Every angle is different. So I recommend if you do have the opportunity to learn cardiac, learn it, but just know that it's going to be different everywhere
Hmm.
else. So like
Okay.
just because I learned it here is not going to be the same somewhere else. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? But anyway, it just blows my mind away. And this is where they offered me to be that manager to go get 5 X-ray techs to train them to be like me. But it just goes, man, you really want to have this company suffer when you're on vacation and you don't want to show anyone how to do cardiac exams. Like,
that's crazy.
how is that fair? What if you need a cardiac exam? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe I think they like that the company depends on them so much. Maybe they're like, "Oh, that you guys need me," and that's like the wrong way to think. But that's only reason I would believe that they would be like, "I'm not going to train anyone. I want to be that guy," or whatever.
And
That's
then next thing
terrible.
you know, 2 weeks later, they go get another job. You
Yeah,
know?
everyone's screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of happening a little bit with like
Everyone.
ACR, like people don't want to do ACR. There's only one person who does ACR. Um, I don't know. What do you think about this? Switching a little bit, like, what do you think about the whole like becoming an MRSO? Have you ever thought
Oh
about
man,
doing that?
that's you know, well, you know, I never say it's never wrong to continue your education. I personally go to conferences. I don't do CEs. I like
Mhm.
going to the conferences. I learned so much. And I was gonna crack a joke. Usually the MRSOs are the ones who freak out the patients because they go too much into detail because they're so passionate.
Oh,
But
they
we're
scare 'em.
yeah, so it's kind of funny because they need to switch that passion that they have for MRI and
Mhm.
just kind of have it flow with quality care, bedside manner. Yes, dude, you do know a lot of stuff about safety. You do know about what is it called, RMA or something like that. Because I just talked to a tech who she is MRSO, and she was talking about implants and all this other stuff. And usually, when you look up implants, it says the patient can have an MRI for like 15 minutes and then you got to stop.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how I interpret that is, well, we can only scan this patient for 15 minutes and then they have to stop. She actually, corrected me. Well, not correct me because I wasn't saying that. That was what I was trying to understand. But she taught me was no, each scan can't be more than 15 minutes due
Oh,
to
really?
something, something, something. Now, do I want to be an MRSO and spend $1,500? Maybe, maybe. But I
I don't
mean,
know.
I don't know. I don't know. Because a lot of the times, this is something I learned at my conference, and this is something they brought up. Unless your company is asking you to be an MRSO, then go be an MRSO. But like, if you want to do it, it's on your own discretion. Because
True.
as the president of my organization asked, because I even called him because I was like, hey man, I'm really confused about this whole MRSO because if you look at what an MRSO is, that's a licensed tech. You know what I mean? A safety officer. You are a safety officer. That's why you have to be licensed to work at these facilities because you are certified under an organization to professionally do MRI at a safety level. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, that's
So I
facts.
mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, people we can rebuttal about this, and I've been to places where if you're an MRSO, you're the one who verifies implants. You're not the doctor; it's you. At this place I'm at now, there's four MSRSOs, but it doesn't really mean anything. They just have it as job security for like if they ever get audited, they'll be like, oh well, we have four MSRSOs, so we're
Uh,
most safest hospital here. But what does that really mean? Like everyone should be licensed to work there. You know what I mean? Like you can't just go. It's like my teacher once says, just because you went to MRI school, you can't call yourself an MRI tech until you get your MRI license. You know what I mean? You can't be a real estate agent until you get your real estate license.
true. Yeah. So, hey, I want to talk to you about the Armret. So, you're going to be speaking at the Armret soon,
This
or when
year,
is that? Oh, okay.
I'm getting everything ready, and I appreciate everybody taking their time watching this podcast. I hope the knowledge that I'm leaving you guys helps you to have a better work day.
Mhm.
The topics that we talked about today is something I'm going to do in my presentation. Um, and it is customer and quality care because where I've been seeing in the last 15 years of my experiences, I don't want people to not forget that you don't forget the main assignment of this
Mhm.
job, and that main assignment is customer care. The last question of the for your armored exam, I'm not sure if it's for AART, but it should be.
Mhm.
It says, "What is the job duties of an MRI tech?" And the answer is to make the patient as comfortable as possible, to get the best pictures as quick as you can, and to get the patient out as quick as you can. So
Hmm.
get and so what that stands out to me is customer service and quality care. Make sure the patient is comfortable in this exam. I've been to facilities where they have great resolution and great all this stuff where they tweak their protocols to be nice, bright, beautiful pictures, but you have to realize that a lot of these patients aren't normal patients, aren't walkie-talkies. These
Mhm.
patients just are who just had a stroke, who are not in the best condition or not mentally there. So that 5 minute T1 axial is unnecessary. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or those images that have a three next for a T1 or
True.
just like these 5 6 minute exams with a 3T or 1.5. Like, these are unnecessary sometimes, so we could chop those down to get that patient out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I met in my last, and this is where I'm so glad we had this opportunity to talk, because like my last conference that I went to was what makes a good MRI tech. What makes
Oh,
is it
okay.
is it you know is it knowing how to change your parameters? Is it knowing how to build a protocol, or is it getting that patient that exam done? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I can't, I don't like when people are all like, oh man, this patient's moving because he can't hold still for this 5 minute exam. Well, let's
Oh
chop it
yeah.
up. Let's chop
Uh-huh.
it up. Like a lot of these patients, are have an infection. They broke their ankle. Heaven forbid they twitch because they're in this little thing called pain. So what can we do to make it comfortable, and how fast can we get that exam done so they can know how to move forward to get to better health?
Yeah, I agree. Just like it's also having an understanding like what the radiologist is looking at, because a lot of times the next doesn't have to be four if they're just looking at a something that's probably they're trying to see if it's a lipoma or a mass, like on the T1
Or a
fat
fracture,
side fracture. Like it doesn't have to be high resolution. So that's something an older tech had told me. Like someone that had more experience, are like, oh well, they don't. This doesn't have to be high resolution. Like yeah, if they're looking for like fracture, broken bones, like you can
Quaddy
cut that
kind of.
down. Yeah.
Now,
So
don't get me wrong. Now, when I say this, I'm talking to the techs who are listening. You know what
yeah,
I'm talking about.
they
But
know.
for a perfusion, for a brain mass, for a research study,
Uh huh.
yeah, okay, those 6 minute exam studies, those parameters, leave them alone.
Hmm.
Or stealth protocols, where
Oh
you have
yeah,
to,
yeah. They have the surgery,
we
radiation.
can't cut those back. You know what I
Nope.
mean? Those are the ones. Those now, this is where the customer care goes in. You go talk to the patient and you say, hey, it's a long exam. I understand this, but we both need to get this done. You more so than me, but I'm willing to work with you to get it done. You know?
Hmm. For sure, for sure. Well, yeah, man. I mean, we covered a lot of things: customer care, the MRI tech responsibilities and ethics. Um, yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to talk about for this episode?
For this episode, and if hopefully, if for the MRI techs who are listening, if you guys like what I had to say, please leave some positive comments, like, share this video, this post, so maybe I can come back. I did recently open up a quick care, and maybe we could discuss about how to further your opportunities as an MRI tech, because I do have a lot of knowledge. I'm not just an MRI tech, I'm an entrepreneur, but this is the main one I do want to get across for a lot of techs. You want to close a deal. And what I mean by close a deal, you want to get this exam done. Now, if we spell close, it's CLOSE. What people don't know this is, what does the C stand for close? The C stands for confidence. And the confidence is always have confidence in with yourself and what you're doing. Okay. Because if you take that C away from close, you
Hmm.
lose, you know?
Facts. But yeah, definitely gonna have you on here again about you opening that quick center, man. That's so
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Like I never thought it was possible for an MRI tech to do that, and I also don't know very many MRI techs that have that entrepreneur mentality.
Thank
So you will definitely influence a lot of others to do more than just MRI, to branch out. You've been traveling a lot, making extra money, and that money stacks up. And it's like, what are you going to do with that money? You have opportunities to start businesses, investments, and
It's so funny.
yeah.
When I was 19, my best friend even to this day, just
Hmm.
my number one hater. He when I told him I was signing up to a trade school to West Coast Ultrasound Institute, he was
Hmm.
all like, "That's all you're ever gonna do? That's
Ah,
it? That's it? That's all you're ever gonna do is just MRIs?" Well, since 19, I've been doing more than just MRIs. You know what I mean? And
for
you're
sure.
not just an MRI tech. You could be management, leadership. You could sell the equipment. You could be an app specialist. You could open your own imaging center. There's so much more to it. And I think I was even telling you can even work for Boston Scientific to be to be a rep and
I didn't
come
even know
out there
that.
and
Yeah,
turn off that pacemaker. You know what I mean? You don't think these the people who run the pacemakers, do you think they want an average Joe, or do you think they want an MRI tech who knows what is expected of them, what is
Hmm.
expected of this pacemaker. You know what I mean? So don't be just limited of just an MRI tech. You're more than that. You know, you're a Jedi.
Hell yeah, for sure, man. Jedi Master. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, we'll wrap it up. Um, I'm
Well, I
Kwame.
appreciate you having me. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you for this opportunity. It was a pleasure. If you guys ever have more questions, man, just reach out, brother. Thank you so much.
hey,
And
yeah, for
keep
sure.
making those memes, man. They're hilarious.
Oh yeah, gotta go check that out. The real MRI Man on Instagram. Follow me on here. Expect more podcasts. Definitely gonna have Steve on very
Thank you.
soon. Anyway, you guys, like he said, comment below if you guys got any more questions, what you think of the video, and that's it, man. And we out.
All right. All
Peace.
right. Happy New Year's, guys. Bye.
Yeah.